Tuan Yang Utama, Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi Abdul Razak, Yang di-Pertua Negeri Pulau Penang, Yang Berhormat ahli-ahli Exco, Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Khoo, Pengurusi Yayasan Pelajaran Wawasan dan Universiti Terbuka Wawasan, Mr. Michelle Venkrom Brugger, Pengurusi MICCI Penang, Tuan-Tuan Yang Utama, Ambassadors, Tan Sri Dato, Tuan-Tuan dan Puan-Puan yang saya hormati sekalian. Selamat pagi, selamat datang, salam sejahtera. It's my great honor and pleasure to warmly welcome His Excellency, the Governor of Penang, Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi, to today's Penang Future Forward Summit. This is the first time that we are holding an in-person physical conference since April this year, and we're delighted to hold this in Penang. We are honored that the Governor is able to grace the opening and to deliver the keynote address at today's summit. I wish to extend our congratulations to His Excellency the Governor, whom I've known for almost 20 years, on his appointment as the Governor of Penang. I do believe that his wealth of knowledge and experience as a senior diplomat, as Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and as Secretary General of the World Islamic Economic Forum, and after that, as Chairman of several corporate companies, will serve Penang in good state. Today, the Penang Future Forward Summit focuses on the importance of being future ready. We need a future-ready economy that is resilient and competitive, and that will take into account digital and green growth. We also need a future-ready education, as well as a future-ready workforce in order to prepare ourselves for the challenges ahead. Over the past several months, our KSI Strategic Institute have been focusing our efforts on national recovery, and we held a number of roundtables, webinars, and consultations on healthcare, education, sustainable finance, affordable housing, and digital economy, which we believe are key areas and sectors that will help promote national recovery. Last month, together with the National Recovery Council, we held the National Recovery Summit, and that brought together over 400 people from government, business, and civil society to exchange ideas on how the country can move forward towards recovery. We have always emphasized that the road towards recovery needs to be a bipartisan effort and need to involve government, business, and civil society working together in close partnerships. From the National Recovery Summit, we have submitted proposals and inputs to the National Recovery Council that have been well received by the Chairman of the Council, Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, and the Coordinating Minister for National Recovery, Tun Dato Seri Utama. We believe that this whole of society approach is critical to ensuring that we work together to achieve national recovery. We also believe that the efforts towards national recovery must also emphasize the 4 C's: consultation, communications, consensus building, as well as consistency. So we believe that if we are able to work together, we would be able to recover faster. The second key focus of our work over the last several months have focused on the Sustainable Development Goals. KSI, together with 51 other think tanks and civil society organizations in the country, have established what we call the Malaysia CSO SDG Alliance that works together in partnership with United Nations and international organizations as well as EPU and the Government of Malaysia, to foster faster acceleration of the SDGs. In particular, we prioritize SDG 12 on getting business to focus on responsible production and consumption, SDG 13 on climate change and climate action, and SDG 17 on partnerships. I would like to call upon and urge more companies in Penang to embrace and to sign the Climate Action Pledge in conjunction with COP26 that is taking place in Scotland later this week. Many of us in Kuala Lumpur have already signed this Climate Action Pledge, and we do hope Penang companies and Penang businesses will also do so on the road towards zero society. So once again, I would like to thank His Excellency Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi for gracing today's summit. I'd like to thank also all our many distinguished speakers and our sponsors and all participants for your support. Lastly, we would like to also honor at the end of today's opening ceremony 4 distinguished people from Penang for their Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Award. Sekian, terima kasih.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Next, I would like to call upon Mr. Michel von Kombrugge, Chairman of MICCI Penang, to give his welcome speech.
Tuan Yang Terutama Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Pulau Pinang, His Excellencies Ambassadors of Belgium and Poland, Tan Sri Dr. Khoo Tsukun, Chairman Board of Governors, Wawasan Open University, Tan Sri Michael Yeo, President, KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, Yang Berhormat Dato Haji Abdul Halim bin Haji Hussein, State Exco for Trade, Industry and Entrepreneurial Development, Yang Berhormat Yo Soon Hin, State Exco for Tourism and Creative Economy, Yang Berhormat Chong Eng, State Exco for Social Development and Non-Islamic Religious Affairs, Dato Muhammad Suhaili Mo Zain, Chief Police Officer, Tan Sri Dato, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of MICCI Penang and the North, I wish you a warm welcome to the Penang Future Forward Summit organized by KSI with the support of Wawasan Open University and MICCI Penang and the North. I think we can say we are happy to be all present here today and hope that this might be indicative of a yet-to-be-defined new normal. The pandemic has tested humanity and has tested its resolve to combat it. Although it is too early to claim victory, one can say that we have made significant strides to learn to live with it, and we can now start planning for the future. In this spirit, the theme of this summit, achieving a resilient and sustainable economy, is particularly pertinent. MICCI, the Malaysian International Chamber of Commerce and Industry, is the oldest chamber of commerce in Malaysia. It was founded in 1837 and represents close to 1,000 corporate members with over 30 different nationalities. MICCI has chapters in various parts of the country. Penang and the North is one of them. Currently, MICCI's main objective is to support our members on their way back to the new normal. Hence, how do we continue from here? Today, the 4 sessions will provide the thinking on our future and take into account the historical strengths of the Penang economy, Important pillars are the international and local players in the manufacturing industry, with the mechanical, electric, and electronic industry, medical devices, and renewable energy as important drivers of growth. Penang is also home to a potentially flourishing medical and general tourism industry. There will also be discussions on the digitalization of the business and how the education sector should be reshaped to address the talent challenges associated with creating a successful future. One thing is clear. For Penang and its economy to be successful and competitive again, a number of hurdles will have to be tackled. A non-exhaustive wish list would include address the talent or staffing gaps nearly every sector faces, address the mismatch between the education curricula and the needs of the industry, reduce bureaucracy and red tape, and encourage independent daily running of business, reduce the cost of doing business, increase the speed of granting licenses, promote and support the education and tourism sector of Penang, create space for growth on focus sectors as land is scarce, ensure Penang's UNESCO status by keeping it as a livable city, by creating a balance between residential and commercial activity without forgetting the environmental concerns. I wish to conclude by offering my special thanks to Tan Sri Michael Yeo and the KSI Institute to take the initiative to organize this well-timed forum and to co-organize a Wawasan Open University to provide content and perspective from the education sector. Additionally, I wish to extend my personal thanks to Tun, Governor of Penang, for gracing this event, the ambassadors, the state excos, and the chief police officer, my MICCI colleagues, and all participants of this forum for their support and their presence here today. On behalf of MICCI Penang and the North, I'm looking forward to a fruitful summit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Von Kombrugger, for your welcome speech. Next, I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Khoo Su Kun, Chairman of the Board of Governors of Wawasan Open University, to give his welcome speech.
Tuan Yang Terutama Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, Yang di-Pertua Negeri Pulau Pinang, Yang berhormat ahli-ahli Exco Kerajaan Negeri, Datuk Halim Hussein dan Tuan Yeo Soon Hin, Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Presiden KSI, Mr. Michel Van Kombrugger, Chairman MICCI Penang, His Excellency Ambassador, Consul General, Honorary Consuls, Dev-Dev kehormat, saudara-saudari yang dihormati sekalian. Salam bahagia dan selamat pagi, 各位朋友，大家好。Saudara, saudari gele, wanakum, namaste, sastri akal. Good morning. On behalf of Wawasan Open University, it is my privilege and pleasure to join the organizer, KSI, and the other co-organizer, MICCI Penang, in reiterating our gratitude to Tuan Yang Terutama Tun Fuzi for gracing this special occasion and also in welcoming all of you. In fact, we in WOU were looking forward to hosting this summit in our campus. However, due to the overwhelming response of participants attending physically, our small auditorium with terrace seats close together cannot provide for enough space with strict SOPs. Hence the shift to this ENO hall. Nonetheless, we look forward to welcoming you on campus on another occasion. Saudara-saudari, looking back quickly, Penang has indeed come a very long way in the past 50 years, starting with the major game changer initiated by Tun Dr. Lim Chong Yu in 1971 by successfully bringing in multinational corporations or MNCs in the electronics industry, eventually transforming Penang into the world-renowned Silicon Valley of the East and transforming Malaysia into an industrial economy. The 80s and the 90s saw the robust growth of local small and medium enterprises, SMEs, as suppliers, first to the MNCs within Malaysia, then moving up the technological value chain and becoming capable of competing as global suppliers on their own right, while diversifying into automation, medical devices, aeronautics, etc., leveraging on electronics, precision engineering, and other emerging technologies. Our strong supplier base with tens of thousands of engineers, technicians, managers, and workers constitute an ecosystem that has continued to attract high-value foreign and domestic investments. Penang is also fortunate to be endowed by two great assets, nature and culture. Leveraging on our past history and cultural diversity, Georgetown, together with Malacca, gained recognition as UNESCO World Heritage joint sites in year 2008. And just a month ago, we gained another recognition by UNESCO, the Penang Hill Biosphere Reserve, leveraging on the efforts to preserve the hill in the 90s and the gazetting of the Penang National Park in 2004. Meanwhile, since the late 90s, Penang has grown into a hub for medical tourism. The future challenge is how to revive these three legs of tourism which were rudely crippled by this pandemic. More importantly, the preservation of nature and culture and the promotion of healthcare should not be just for tourism, but more for our own people and future generations. In fact, there has been rising concern, consciousness, and commitment, especially amongst the young, regarding the urgent need to effectively manage climate change and various forms of environmental degradation. A major future challenge is how to realize the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG 17, in our local context. Undoubtedly, we shall be facing the many uncertainties arising from the impact of digitization on the economy and the society, and also on people's life and livelihood, further compounded by the raging pandemic. Hence, the challenge is how to harness and enhance the ecosystem and assets that we have already built up. And the most crucial is our human asset through the promotion of education, entrepreneurship, and endeavor or hard work. We also need to continue to reach beyond Penang, to the northern region, and to IMTGT, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand Growth Triangle, and ASEAN. Indeed, there's much to deliberate in this summit, drawing upon the unique expertise and vast experience of each of you to generate new ideas and initiatives and to work on how to execute effectively and efficiently in a synergetic and inclusive way. Saudara-saudari, we Penang are indeed very fortunate to welcome another illustrious anak Pulau Penang coming home to be our Yang di-Pertua Negeri. Tuan Yang Terutama Tun Fuzi needs no further introduction. With his vast knowledge and experience in the diplomatic service and national administration, he will definitely guide the people, the government, and the civil society of Penang to even greater heights. Without much further ado, saya dengan segala hormatnya menjemput Tuan Yang Terutama Tun untuk menyampaikan ucap tama dan merasmikan the Penang Future Forward Summit. Dipersilakan, Tun.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Dato Seri Dr. Khoo Chairman, Board of Governors, Wawasan Open University, Mr. Michel Wan Krombruhe, Chairman, MICCI Penang. Yang berbahagia Dato Seri Michael Yeo, President KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific. Yang berhormat Datuk Halim dan yang berhormat Mr. Yeo, Ex-Cos of the State of Penang, distinguished speakers and guests, Excellencies, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum and Salam Sejahtera. I am pleased to be here today for this Penang Future Forward Summit. I commend the co-organizers, Wawasan Open University, Malaysian International of Commerce and Industry, Penang, and KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific for organizing this summit, and appreciate the invitation extended to me to deliver the opening address. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a devastating impact on the global economy. To tackle the outbreak, many countries have unleashed record high amounts of fiscal stimulus, pushing public debt ratios to unprecedented levels. Meanwhile, long-term growth prospects are grim, raising concerns and questions about the sustainability of such high debt levels and the implications of the current situation for economies around the world. The advent of new variants of the virus, coupled with economic uncertainty, posed further challenges to the economy. With continued lockdowns and later phase reopening of the economy, the measures implemented by the government were giving mixed results. For the rest of the year in 2021, and for much of the beginning of the new year, the core challenge for Malaysia continues to be curbing the spread of the virus while sustaining economic growth. Compared to other states in Malaysia, Penang's economy is uniquely driven by both the manufacturing and services sectors, which are set to recover from the upheavals of COVID-19. For more than a decade, Penang has been consolidating its manufacturing strength. It has also diversified from a labor-intensive economy to shared services. The state government realized that it can no longer depend on labor-intensive industries. Hence, the greater focus on research and development and shared services, which to date employs up to 1,000 highly skilled Malaysians. The presence of multinational corporations, part of the global supply chain network, is another indicator that Penang is wired up to global trade and has a role to play, particularly in the production of electronics and electrical products, E&E. The demand for E&E products are expected to grow due to rapid technological advancements and digitalization. Penang's manufacturing sector needs to step up quickly to stay in the game or lose out. Penang also needs to start preparing for the future now, as delaying will incur higher cost and risk the state being edged out by competition coming from within and beyond Malaysia, such as Vietnam. There is much at stake as business is expected to pick up with global demand for E&E products, forecasted to grow by 30% over the next 2 years, driven by demand for electronics, automotive, 5G, cloud computing, and artificial intelligence products. The Department of Statistics Malaysia's data showed that Malaysia's E&E products exports for the first half of the year, valued at Malaysian ringgit 213.71 billion, was up by 28.4% compared to the corresponding period of last year. For the whole of 2020, the E&E sector recorded an export revenue of Malaysian ringgit 386.1 billion. The entry of several Fortune 500 companies into the newly established Batu Kawan Industrial Park is another reason for the state to be optimistic that it can rebound positively and swiftly. Actions by the likes of Micron and Intel to reinvest in Penang have also provided additional confidence boosters to the market. To add another dimension is the introduction of the Penang Transport Master Plan, which comes on the back of the proposed Penang Southern Islands Reclamation Project. These projects are expected to drive domestic consumption and bring value add to the economy, resulting in a spillover effect which the state can tap into and perhaps make up for the losses incurred by SMEs due to the significant lockdown measures which the country was forced to impose to contain the pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, Penang's economy will not move if there is no right platform to create new economic activities. If we have no room to expand, the state will become stagnant. Our gross domestic product is dependent now more than ever on such activities. I believe that efforts are being implemented to reclaim the sea for this purpose. However, I do caution that it must not be at the expense of environmental degradation. We need to strike the right balance to ensure sustainable development. In the last 3 years, the market capitalization of small and medium industries in Penang has also grown, of which some listed firms here became firms worth billions of dollars, although the value may have plunged due to the pandemic. However, the tourism sector may take longer to recover, while medical tourism may have some advantages, as many private hospitals in Penang have recorded good reserves to help them weather the consequences of the pandemic. I have been informed that some 70% of the members of the Association of Tourist Attractions Penang have been forced to shut their businesses temporarily and some permanently. I hope the state government will be able to work closely with the federal government to put in place appropriate strategies to restore and reactivate the tourism industry, as saving the industry means saving thousands of livelihoods and families. Ladies and gentlemen, as one of the most developed states in Malaysia, the economic fundamentals in Penang remain strong. The state can expect to recover faster if the authorities can effectively contain the pandemic through the vaccination drive and the implementation of other measures, including the upholding of new norms. The virus and lockdown crisis have forced people to do things differently. Some people have discovered options that will cause them to make different choices in the future. For example, some businesses will use online meeting technology more intensely in the future, expanding work-at-home opportunities and potentially cutting back on travel to meetings. Some doctors and patients have discovered that online doctor visits work well compared to office visits. Some educational institutions and students may even find that online education works well and is more economical than in-person education. And some people have learned to cook, and others have discovered how to enhance their living spaces. All these changes will exert a positive impact on some sectors of the economy and an adverse impact on others. What the pandemic has done is to change the structure of the economy. Faced with the prospect of increased production costs, reduced availability of migrant workers, less travel, and the need for social distancing, businesses are likely to speed up their adoption of automation and digitalization in the post-COVID world. Working from home will accelerate the use of technologies that were previously feasible but not widely adopted. Born out of necessity, WFH would become a regular part of the working week. However, the possibility of remote working is not uniform across industries, states, and regions. Whereas most jobs in finance, corporate management, and professional and scientific services could be performed at home, the same cannot be said for jobs in agriculture, hotels and restaurants, and retail. With lockdowns in place, these sectors have suffered greatly before, resulting in the loss of livelihoods and businesses having to wind down. Ladies and gentlemen, according to Invest Penang, the state recorded a total investment of 14.1 billion RM in 2020 and a record high of 16.9 billion ringgit in 2019. Penang is hoping to record total investments of 5 billion ringgit for 2021 after its outstanding investment performance in the last 2 years. For the first quarter of this year, Penang has already recorded 1.1 billion ringgit in approved manufacturing investments that were derived from 40 projects. Figures from the Malaysian Investment Development Authority had placed 52% of the investments coming from domestic direct investments, while the remaining 48% were contributed by foreign direct investments. We must also not forget that sustainable productivity growth is reliant on productive capital, people, and the workforce. Measures to reshape the workforce to be more dynamic, agile, and resilient are vital to ensure that a higher level of productivity is achieved. upskilling and reskilling programs should be geared towards acquiring the in-demand skills. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we look to the future post-COVID, we need to ensure that we have in place the right policies and framework for reinvigorating the investment landscape, as well as enhancing long-term competitiveness. We need to ensure that the state economy is increasingly built on skills-based industries with significant productive capabilities needed to create high-value products and services. We need to create higher-value job opportunities for Penangites to ensure that our people are equipped with sufficient skills required for the growing future economy. Finally, we must also aspire to improve inclusivity by championing equitable growth for the state, ensuring equal opportunities and adequate safeguards for the people. This aspiration seeks to unlock Penang's full potential, fundamentally lowering barriers to access as well as better integrating the economy. We need to continue pushing the message that productivity and economic growth is a shared responsibility that must be borne by all stakeholders. Most importantly, we must play our respective roles to boost productivity and to accelerate the post-pandemic recovery. I'm confident that the state government will continue to support and do whatever is necessary to ensure that our industries continue to have the edge to compete productively and win in the regional and global marketplace. Indeed, pursuing a global approach with a wider geographical reach should be an important dimension of our economic strategy in achieving this objective. Ladies and gentlemen, it would be remiss of me not to put on record how proud I am of Penang. Long regarded as the Malaysian food capital, tropical Penang is a fascinating fusion of modernity and traditions. Being home to a multicultural, multi-ethnic, and multiracial society, Penang is a testament to how harmonious living is possible in a place full of variance and because of the variance. I believe it is incumbent upon all of us to safeguard and strengthen our common values of mutual respect, tolerance, and unity. Peace, harmony, political stability, and economic progress with social justice can only be achieved if there is racial harmony, tolerance, understanding, and cooperation amongst the various communities. In this regard, the government, politicians, the civil service, administrators in schools and other educational institutions, religious leaders, civil society organizations, members of the various communities and individuals, each have an important role to play through regular discussions, dialogue, and cooperative efforts. The importance of education should be recognized, beginning with primary schools, all the way to colleges and universities. Education should continue to be the basis and foundation for building a tolerant society guided by the principles enshrined in the Federal Constitution and the Rukun Negara. I believe that it is only by working together with a common objective and strategy that our beloved state of Penang could achieve progress to ultimately become more economically developed, prosperous, and resilient with continued peace, harmony, and stability. Thank you. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Our thanks to the Most Honourable Tuan Yang Utama Yang di-Pertua Pulau Pinang for his insightful and inspiring opening address, as well as the advice given to spur Penang's economic development, setting the stage for us today in today's Penang Future Forward Summit. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to a key moment of this summit, the conferment of the Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Awards. It gives me great privilege to invite our special guest of honor, Yang Utama Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi bin Haji Abdul Razak, to do the honors and confer the awards to our deserving recipients. I also like to invite all those on stage to accompany the TYT as the awards are being conferred. These awards are not only a recognition of the commercial success and societal impacts of these individuals and their ventures, but also a recognition of their struggles, resilience, and courage demonstrated in seeing their efforts succeed. More importantly, these awards are a recognition of how their efforts have contributed towards nation building through the generation of economic activities and job creation in the various sectors. Our first recipient is none other than Yang Berbahagia Dato Seri Nazir Ariff. Dato Seri Nazir Ariff is the non-executive chairman of SME Bank. A successful corporate figure, he holds vast experience in various industries which include banking, property development, mining and commodities trading and manufacturing. His illustrious career includes his tenure as Managing Director of Escoy Holdings Berhad, as well as Deputy Chairman, Executive Director, and now Executive Deputy Chairman at Ivory Properties, a Singapore publicly listed company. He is also active in charity work in Penang and holds key positions in various NGOs such as the Children's Protection Society, Penang Future Foundation, and the Jawi Peranakan Heritage Society. A big round of applause to Yang Berbahagia Dato Seri Nazir Ariff. Our next recipient is the one and only Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dato Seri Lim Gait Tong, Chairman and Chief Executive of Farlim Group Malaysia Berhad. Representing Tan Sri Lim today is Yang Berbahagia Dato Tay Eng Hin, President of the Malaysia-China Chamber of Commerce Penang Branch. Tan Sri Lim Gait Tong is no stranger in the Chinese community, having built a brilliant reputation as former President of the Federation of Malaysian Hokkien Association and former Vice President and Advisor of the Penang Chinese Chamber of Commerce. Currently, Tan Sri Lim holds several prominent positions, serving as Permanent Honorary President of the Federation of Chinese Association, Honorary President of the Malaysia-China Chamber of Commerce, President of the China ASEAN Business Association, and several other positions in associations involving the Chinese diaspora community. A big congratulations to Tan Sri Dato Sri Lim Gait Tong. And thank you, Dato Tay, for receiving on Tan Sri's behalf. Our next recipient of the Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Yang Berbahagia Dato Seri Wong Chun Wai, Group Advisor of the Star Media Group Berhad. Dato Seri Wong Chun Wai has served over 30 years of experience in the media industry. Prior to his appointment as Group Advisor to the Star, he was the group's Managing Director and CEO since 2013, and the Star's Chief Editor at the age of 46. In 2003, he won the prestigious Best Journalist Award for news features from the National Press Institute for Investigative Journalism. He is the first Malaysian to be elected into the board of the Paris-based World Editors Forum, was a member of the Supervisory Council of the National News Agency Bernama, and chairman of the Asia News Network, an alliance of 21 media group companies of Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Dato Seri Wong Chun Wai. The next recipient of our Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Awards is none other than the lovely Ms. Khoo Salma Nasution. Khoo Salma Nasution is a Penang-born author of books about Penang and other places in Malaysia. She is the commissioning editor and co-founder of Erica Books, which has published over 50 titles on Malaysian societal history, cultural heritage, visual arts, architecture, and the environment. In 1989, she joined the Penang Heritage Trust and served as its honorary secretary and president. She is now the Trust's vice president. Khoo Salma initiated the Penang Story Project in 2001 and championed Georgetown's recognition as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. She is the custodian of the Sun Yat-sen Penang Museum at 120 Armenian Street. She is not physically present with us this morning, but I understand that she is watching this ceremony via Zoom. So congratulations to you, Miss Khoo, Salma, Nasution. A heartfelt congratulations to all our awards recipients for an outstanding result. Shabas. And thank you to TYT Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi for handing out the awards. Next, we would like to present mementos to the sponsors of today's Penang Future Forward Summit, beginning with our corporate sponsors. First, I call upon Yang Berbahagia Dato Seri Kenny Ong, Group Chairman of MTI Group of Companies. A big thanks to Dato Seri Kenny Ong. Next, please welcome Yang Berbahagia Dato Teh Eng Hin, President of Malaysia-China Chamber of Commerce Penang, receiving on behalf of Tan Sri Lim Gait Tong, Chairman and Chief Executive of Farlim Group, Malaysia, Berhad. Thank you so much, Dato Teh. Our next corporate sponsor is OCBC Bank Malaysia Berhad, represented by its Chief Executive Officer, Yang Berbahagia Dato Ong Eng Bin. Thank you, Dato Ong. For our next corporate sponsor, I'd like to invite Yang Berbahagia Dato Seri Koh Peng Kang, Chief Operating Officer of FSP Setia Berhad. Thank you, Dato Seri. We would now like to present mementos to our associate sponsors. Please give a round of applause to Yang Berbahagia Dato Sesejahteraan Vasudevan, CEO of Penang Port Sendirian Berhad. Thank you, Dato. Our next associate sponsor is Tanjung Penang Development Sendirian Berhad, represented by its Senior General Manager, Yang Berbahagia Dato Zawawi bin Yusof. Thank you, Dato. And last but certainly not the least, it gives me pleasure to invite Dato Seri Nazir Ariff, Chairman of SME Development Bank Malaysia Berhad, to receive a memento as associate sponsors of today's event. Thank you so much, Dato Seri, and thank you to all our corporate and associate sponsors. Without your support today, the Penang Future Forward Summit would not have been possible. Next, we ourselves like to present the Governor of Penang, TYT Tun Dato Seri Utama Ahmad Fuzi, with a token of appreciation for taking time off his busy schedule and gracing us with his presence and support of today's summit. For this occasion, I would like to invite Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Michael Yeo, President of KSI, to present the Governor with a token of appreciation on behalf of all of us. Let's all give a louder round of applause to the Governor. Thank you, Tuan Yang Utama, once again for your support in this momentous occasion, and congratulations once again to all our award recipients this morning. I would now like to invite Tan Sri Michael Yeo, Tan Sri Dr. Khoo Sukun, and Mr. Michelle von Kombrugge to accompany our special guest of honor, the Governor of Penang, back to the VIP holding room for some refreshments. Thank you very much. kick off the event at 10:25. So kindly just quickly make your way with some refreshments, and we will start off in about 10 minutes time. Thank you.